You make everyone uncomfortable, my mom excused when uninvited me to Christmas party. There's no longer money support, I declared. Then the true betrayal was revealed. I'm 32, I thought I had my life under control. As a senior accountant at one of Nashville's top firms, I had built a stable career through years of dedication and hard work. My life was orderly, predictable, and fairly ordinary, exactly how I liked it. But last Christmas, everything changed. The deception, the lies, and the betrayal shattered my carefully constructed world and my understanding of family. It started with a simple text on Christmas morning. The message from my mother read, "Everyone's staying home due to the ice storm. Christmas dinner is canceled. Stay safe." I had spent the previous evening preparing the dishes I was supposed to bring. Now they sat in my refrigerator waiting for a dinner that wouldn't happen. Living in Nashville, I understood that winters could get unpredictable. Ice storms weren't uncommon, and it wasn't unusual for plans to change at the last minute due to weather. I had seen my share of canceled events and rescheduled gatherings over the years. So when I received my mother's text, I didn't question it. Instead, I tried to make the best of the situation. I settled in for what I thought would be a quiet Christmas alone. I made myself a cup of hot chocolate with the special Belgian cocoa I'd been saving, wrapped myself in the handmade quilt my grandmother had given me years ago, and started watching holiday movies. But around 3 p.m., while absently scrolling through Instagram, my phone froze in my hands. There it was, a post from my cousin Nina. The caption read, "Perfect family Christmas at Kelly's. So blessed to have everyone together. Family traditions, Christmas dinner." The timestamp showed it had been posted just minutes ago. The photo showed my entire family, all gathered around Kelly's elegant dining table, smiling and laughing. There was my mother and father, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, even my grandmother. The same grandmother who had taught me how to make that sweet potato casserole that was now sitting untouched in my fridge. They were all together wearing festive sweaters, sharing in a perfect holiday celebration that didn't include me. There was no ice storm, there never had been. I scrolled through more pictures, my heart sinking with each swipe. There was my dad carving the turkey, looking healthy and strong. The same dad whose medical bills I had helped pay after his back surgery last year. I had taken 3 weeks off work to care for him, changing his bandages, driving him to physical therapy appointments, and managing his medication schedule. Now here he was, smiling broadly at a celebration I hadn't been invited to. My mom was there too, arranging her signature Christmas cookies on the fancy serving platter I had bought her last year. She looked perfectly at ease, showing no sign of the woman who had called me in tears 6 months ago when they were at risk of losing their house. I had dipped into my savings to help them catch up on their mortgage payments, working overtime for months to rebuild my emergency fund. I remembered how she had hugged me then, telling me what a blessing I was to the family. My nieces and nephews were opening presents, their faces bright with joy. Just last month, I had helped my sister pay for my nephew's braces, and earlier this year, I had contributed to my niece's college fund. I was always the one they called when they needed help, financial advice, emergency loans, last-minute babysitting. Yet here they were, celebrating without me. It was like watching a nightmare unfold in real time. They had deliberately fabricated a lie to exclude me from their celebration. This wasn't the first time I had been left out, but seeing the truth so blatantly displayed on social media made the reality unbearable. All those times I had rearranged my schedule to help them, all those nights I had stayed up late doing their taxes or reviewing their financial documents, all those weekends I had spent helping them move or paint or renovate, none of it seemed to matter. I felt physically sick to my stomach. The betrayal stung worse than anything I had ever experienced. I thought about the countless hours I had spent helping my mother organize her finances after she admitted she was drowning in credit card debt. I had even helped my cousin hosting this very Christmas celebration, set up her small business's accounting system last year, free of charge, of course, because we're family. The next morning, my phone rang. It was my mom. She spoke as if nothing had happened. "Hi, honey, hope you had a nice, quiet Christmas. We missed you." Her words were like poison. I could hear the casual cruelty in her tone. How could she speak to me like that after everything I had seen? I felt my fists clench as I tried to keep my voice steady. Really? I managed to say, because Nina's social media posts show everyone had a wonderful time at Kelly's house, everyone except me. There was a long, uncomfortable silence on the other end. Then my mom stammered, "Oh, well, Kelly organized it last minute, and you know how you can be at gatherings, always so quiet, making everyone uncomfortable." I could feel the weight of her words as they sank in. I couldn't understand how she could say that to me. What, so you thought it would be better to lie to me, to make me spend Christmas alone while pretending everyone else was doing the same? She tried to backpedal. "Oh, don't be so dramatic, Catherine. We were just trying to avoid any awkwardness. You know how Kelly wanted everything to be perfect." I had heard enough. I asked, "How many other gatherings have you lied to me about? How many times have you made me feel like I wasn't part of this family?" There was a telling silence, followed by her weak attempt to justify everything. "Catherine, you're just being oversensitive. This is why we didn't invite you. Kelly puts in the effort to be part of the family. You're always so busy with work." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Busy with work? You mean busy helping pay your mortgage, busy taking care of Dad after his surgery? I couldn't stop the hurt from spilling out. "I've always been there for you, and this is how you repay me." Her response was cold and dismissive. "If you're going to be like this, maybe it's better if we give each other some space. Call me when you're ready to be reasonable." And just like that, she hung up on me. I sat in silence, holding my phone, feeling the weight of my reality crash down on me. This wasn't just about one Christmas dinner. This was about years of subtle neglect, years of being pushed aside and never being good enough for my family. I had spent my life trying to earn their love and approval, but it was clear now that I would never get it. That was the moment everything changed, the moment I stopped making excuses for them, the moment I realized I wasn't the problem, I wasn't the one who needed to change. Update 1. Hey y'all, I'll continue my story right now. The next few days after Christmas were a blur of notifications and emotional turmoil. My phone constantly buzzed with messages from family members, each one bringing a new excuse, a different justification for why I had been excluded. That was the final straw. I spent the next several hours composing an email to my entire family. My hands shook as I typed, but my mind was clear. They needed to understand exactly what they had done to face the reality of their actions without the comfortable shield of their excuses. "I've seen the photos from Christmas dinner," I wrote. "The dinner I was told was canceled due to an imaginary ice storm. I want you all to know exactly what you've done. You didn't just exclude me from a family gathering. You coordinated an elaborate lie to make me spend Christmas alone. You all worked together to deceive me, to ensure I would spend the holiday by myself, while pretending that everyone else was doing the same." I attached screenshots of my mom's texts about the ice storm alongside the family photos from Kelly's house, the evidence of their deception laid bare. I continued. "For years, I've been there for all of you. I've helped with medical bills, mortgage payments, business advice, and emotional support. I've stayed up nights worrying about your financial problems, spent weekends helping you move, taken time off work to care for you when you were sick. And this is how you repay that loyalty, with lies and exclusion." The responses came quickly, a cascade of defensive justifications and deflections. My aunt suggested that I was too sensitive and needed to think about the family's needs. This from the woman whose daughter's wedding I had helped finance just last year. My uncle, who had borrowed money from me 3 times in the past 2 years, suggested I was overreacting and needed to keep family matters private. Kelly, predictably, sent me a long, condescending message about how I never make an effort at family events, how I'm always too busy or too quiet. She conveniently forgot to mention the countless hours I'd spent helping her business survive, or the times I'd watched her kids so she could have a break. She wrote about wanting one perfect holiday, as if my presence somehow tainted every gathering. But it was my parents' reaction that truly shocked me, though perhaps it shouldn't have. Instead of apologizing, they began a campaign of defensive manipulation. My mother, who had never hesitated to call me when she needed financial help, claimed I was being unreasonable and dramatic. "This is exactly why we didn't include you," she wrote. "You always make everything into such a big deal. Can't you just accept things as they are and move on?" My father, the same man who had relied on me during his recovery from surgery, sent me a stern email about respecting family privacy and how airing our dirty laundry was unacceptable. He wrote, "You're embarrassing yourself and this family with your outburst. This isn't how we raised you to behave." The irony of him lecturing me about family values while defending their collective deception was not lost on me. That's when I made my decision. I would no longer be their financial safety net. No more loans, no more paying bills, no more financial advice or emergency funds. I sent a final email informing them that I would no longer be providing any financial support to family members who had participated in excluding me from Christmas. The backpedaling was immediate and dramatic. Suddenly, family members who had defended my exclusion were sending messages about how much they valued me, how this was all a misunderstanding. My mother called in tears, talking about how they were struggling with bills again. My father sent an email about family loyalty and obligation. But I stood firm. I had reached my breaking point, and their reactions only confirmed what I had finally realized. To them, I wasn't family, I was a resource to be used when needed and discarded when inconvenient. Their sudden concern for my feelings only emerged when their financial support was threatened. Am I wrong for taking this stand, for finally saying enough is enough and cutting off the financial support I've provided for so long? They call me cruel for using money as a weapon, but I see it differently. I'm simply refusing to continue supporting people who have shown they don't consider me part of their family unless they need something from me. Am I the asshole for taking this stand against them? Update 2. Thank you all for the overwhelming support on my previous post. I really appreciate everyone who took the time to comment and offer advice. But just when I thought the Christmas dinner incident couldn't get any worse, I discovered something that turned my whole world upside down. A week after everything happened, my phone lit up with a message that would change everything. It was from my Aunt Rachel, the only one in the family who had stayed quiet during this whole mess. "I know you're hurting right now," her message read. "But there's something you need to know. This family isn't what it seems. Can we meet? You deserve to know the truth about your inheritance." My heart started racing. Inheritance? I'd never heard anything about inheritance. I agreed to meet her at a small coffee shop away from where the rest of the family usually went. Rachel looked nervous when I arrived, fidgeting with her coffee cup. She pulled out a thick manila envelope and slid it across the table. "Your grandfather loved you so much, he wanted to make sure you were taken care of." As she explained, I felt the room start to spin. My grandfather had left me a substantial inheritance, $300,000 to be exact. It was specifically meant for my education and future, with my father appointed as the trustee until I turned 25. I was 32 now, and I'd never heard a word about it. "Your father?" Rachel's voice cracked. "He's been using the money. All these years he's been funneling it to Kelly. Her yoga teacher training in India, her beach house renovations, all those business ventures she kept starting and abandoning, it was all paid for with your inheritance." My hands shook as I looked through the bank statements she'd brought. There it all was, in black and white. While I'd been working overtime to help them with their mortgage, while I'd been dipping into my savings to help with medical bills, my father had been secretly using my inheritance to fund Kelly's lavish lifestyle. "I should have told you sooner," Rachel said, wiping away tears. "I kept quiet because, well, you know how this family works, but after what they did to you at Christmas, I couldn't stay silent anymore. You deserved to know the truth." It wasn't just about a Christmas dinner anymore. This was about years of systematic financial abuse, about a family that had not only excluded me but had actually stolen from me. Everything suddenly made horrible sense: why they kept me at arm's length, why they never wanted me too close to the family's financial discussions, why Kelly always seemed to have money for her ventures despite her businesses never succeeding. Update 3. With this new information, I hired a lawyer and began to build my case. During our first meeting, I spread out all the documents Rachel had given me across her desk: bank statements, trust documents, everything that showed how my inheritance had been mismanaged. "This is a clear case of breach of fiduciary duty," my lawyer said, studying the papers through her reading glasses. Your father, as trustee, had a legal obligation to manage this money in your best interest. Instead, he deliberately misappropriated the funds for personal use and family favoritism. We spent hours going through every transaction, building a detailed timeline of how my inheritance had been systematically drained. My lawyer explained that we could not only sue for the original amount but also for potential earnings and interest over the years. Plus, there could be punitive damages given the deliberate nature of the deception. We're looking at a potential claim of over $500,000 when you factor in lost interest and investment opportunities, she explained. Your father had a duty to invest this money responsibly for your benefit. Instead, he used it to fund your cousin's lifestyle. The preparation for the lawsuit was exhausting. I had to gather years of financial records, including my own bank statements showing how I'd helped with family expenses while my inheritance was being squandered. We collected emails, text messages, and any documentation that proved I had no knowledge of the trust's existence. When we filed the lawsuit, my family's reaction was explosive. My father tried to claim that he had used the money for the family's benefit and that I had indirectly benefited from Kelly's success, though she had never actually succeeded at anything. My mother called me hysterical, crying about how I was tearing the family apart. Kelly threatened to countersue for defamation, though my lawyer assured me this was an empty threat. The legal process was grueling. During discovery, we uncovered even more than my aunt had known. Not only had my father misused my inheritance, but he had also kept detailed records of his manipulations, apparently never thinking they would come to light. There were emails between him and Kelly discussing how to keep me from finding out about the trust, strategizing ways to keep me busy with family obligations so I wouldn't ask too many questions. The depositions were particularly difficult. Sitting across from my father as he tried to justify his actions, watching him squirm under my lawyer's precise questioning was both satisfying and heartbreaking. He kept insisting that he had done what was best for the family, but his excuses fell apart under scrutiny. The case dragged on for months. There were settlement offers that I refused. They wanted to pay back just the original amount with no interest or acknowledgement of wrongdoing. My father tried to use family members to pressure me into dropping the case, but I stood firm. The breakthrough came when we subpoenaed records from Kelly's various business ventures. The paper trail showed not only how my inheritance had been misused, but also revealed potential tax fraud in how the funds had been reported. This discovery strengthened our position significantly. Finally, after 9 months of legal battles, we reached a settlement. My father agreed to pay back the full amount of the inheritance plus interest, totaling $527,000. He would have to sell his vacation property and take out a second mortgage to pay it. Kelly would have to liquidate her beach house, the one renovated with my money, to contribute to the settlement. The agreement included a non-disclosure clause, but it also required my father to step down as trustee of any other family trusts. It was a comprehensive victory, but it came at an emotional cost. My relationship with my family was irreparably damaged, but I realized that what I had lost wasn't worth keeping anyway. The money was finally transferred to my account last week. It feels surreal looking at the balance, knowing that I've finally reclaimed what was rightfully mine. But more than the money, I've reclaimed my self-respect. I've shown my family that I won't be their victim anymore. Some extended family members have reached out to express their support, saying they always felt something was off but never knew the extent of it. Others have chosen to believe my father's version of events, painting me as the ungrateful daughter who sued her own family, but I know I did the right thing. I'm in therapy now, working through the years of manipulation and emotional abuse. My therapist helps me see that standing up for myself wasn't just about the money. It was about breaking free from a toxic family dynamic that had controlled my life for too long. The courts validated what I had felt in my heart. I deserved better than what my family had given me. I deserved honesty, respect, and love, not manipulation and theft disguised as family loyalty.